Rev your engines and fasten your seatbelts. It's time for Thunder Talk with Dan Bailey, keeping you up to date on everything going on this season at Mississippi Thunder Speedway. Thunder Talk is powered by Arcadia Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram. Now, here's your host, Dan Bailey.
Hey race fans, welcome back to another edition of Thunder Talk on the WINONA Sports Network 99.3. I'm Dan Bailey. Well, it is the week that we've been waiting for, the 2023 Oak Ridge Fabrication World of Outlaws Late Model Series Dairyland Showdown presented by OFI Performance. A cool $350,000 purse on the line for the World of Outlaw Case Construction Late Model drivers and the KevcoRacing.com USRA Modified drivers. And we are in the thick of this 3-day special, and I'm pleased to welcome to this week's program none other than Bobby Pierce, driver of the number 32 machine. Bobby, welcome to Thunder Talk.
Hey, thanks for having me. We're really excited to get up there in Mississippi Thunder and see what we can do. Hopefully get another win like we did last year in the prelim, but we want that big check on Saturday.
I want to talk about last year's win. I want to talk about all the success you've enjoyed. I want to talk about the 2023 season. But first, come on, we got to get down to the important question, the nickname. What's the genesis of the Smooth Operator? Who coined it? Where did it come from?
Yeah, so it's kind of not a long story, make a short story. So my dad's nickname was the Tall Cool One. You know, he's a little over 6 foot. And now that he's a lot older, he's in his 70s, he's lost some inches, but really tall back then. So I don't know who dubbed him the Tall Cool One. But when I started racing, they named me the Short Cool. And as I got older, even though I'm still pretty short, I was like, I don't really like that nickname, so we need to come up with something else. And Rick Eshelman, actually, who was the World Outlaw announcer all these previous years and until he passed, he came up with the nickname, I think it was like in 2013 or somewhere around there. I don't really know why. I guess at the time I was kind of a bottom feeder, and I never really was much for running a cushion and getting really wild at the time. So he named me the Smooth Operator, and it kind of stuck. And then throughout the years, I've gotten a little more aggressive with my driving style, but that's still what we go by.
First time you heard it, were you like, yeah, I like that. I think this will stick.
I was just kind of like, go with the flow, it's whatever.
All right, so let's talk about you. You know, 5-time Dirt Car National Champion, 5-time Dirt Car Summer Nationals Champion. You've already got a handful of World of Outlaw victories, including in 2022 right here at Mississippi Thunder Speedway. So that win last year, I want to ask about specifically that win last year. Does that help you at all coming back to the track for the first time in 2023?
Yeah, it definitely does. You know, it gives us some confidence heading in that, you know, we know that we're pretty fast there, even though this year we switched to Longhorn chassis, but I've been pretty fast with it right out of the gate and feel like we've learned it and got really comfortable with it pretty fast. So, you know, we know that it's a track that provides really good racing, and it's really one of the really fun racetracks to get up to, and just everything about the place. It's really nice and wide. You can race around it. You know, we'll just take our notes that we learned from the last 2 years we've been there and just kind of somewhat apply it to this and go from there.
And when you change a chassis like that, that is a major change, right? A casual race fan may not understand the complexity of it, but has this change for you been smoother than you had anticipated? Has it been more of a struggle than you had anticipated? Tell us about the change.
Yeah, heading into it, I was pretty nervous, not going to lie, because you know, you get something that you're so comfortable with, and you just know everything about it, and you go hopping into something different. You know, it can be something just as simple as, you know, you just know you're sitting in a different office space, basically. So I was a little nervous at first, but we practiced it at a track in Texas on our way down to the Wild West Shootout, which is in New Mexico. And right off the bat, I was really comfortable and flew around there really nicely. We turned some good laps, and then we got to New Mexico, and I was leading the first race of the year and the first race in the Longhorn. So I ended up falling back to second. You know, Jonathan Davenport passed me, so not a bad guy to pass you there. And I ended up spinning out, actually. But yeah, we were fast right out of the gate, and I think on the fourth night out I won. So yeah, it was a really good car, you know, pretty good base setup that they have, and just kind of tweak it from there.
So then let's further explore this whole topic. Now that you're coming back to Mississippi Thunder Speedway, you had success here last year, albeit in last year's chassis, last year's car. Do you try to make what worked for you last year in last year's car work this year in this year's Longhorn chassis? Or do you maybe try to compare Mississippi Thunder Speedway with another similar track, or a track that might drive or feel similar to you as a driver, and see if those notes might work better for a starting setup?
Yeah, you're always kind of comparing even racetracks. It could be somewhere you've raced a long time, and you know, that's kind of crazy thing about dirt racing is you're never going to always get the same racetrack twice, whether it's really slick and slower or it can be really tacky and fast. There can be a cushion one night, not the next night, and whatever it may be, but you kind of look at the banking of a lot of these tracks and how you enter and how aggressive it is on that right front corner of the car. And that's probably the biggest adjustment is just finding that sweet spot there. So you're always kind of comparing stuff, but if you got a pretty good setup and you feel dialed in, then you don't want to change too much throughout the night.
Let me see if you can do some name dropping with regards to other tracks that you've visited through your lengthy career. Does MTS feel or drive like any other particular track in your mind that you visited during your career?
I would say not really thinking about it too hard, because I'm sure I could think about this for a long time, but there's a track in Boswell, Indiana that's kind of about the same length and shape and everything, but Mississippi Thunder does a lot better job with the preparation of the track. Like, I think Boswell's, I don't know if they've raced in a long time, but that track would normally be kind of sandy and rough, which Mississippi Thunder does sometimes get the characteristics of the dirt being a little fine, it kind of gets, we call it, the track gets dirty a lot, where it doesn't really sometimes clean up as much and get super slick, but it just depends. But probably like Boswell, Indiana. I mean, really, it's not really comparing it to Eldora, but in a way, you can go in there and almost flat-foot the corners when it's fast, so if you have a good setup, you can haul it in there pretty good.
I don't know why I'm getting into these weird questions, but they're bouncing around in my head. If you could design your own racetrack, what would the Bobby Pierce racetrack look like? What would the Smooth Operator racetrack look like? A lot of banking, long, short, flat? What do you really enjoy?
I'd say I would probably get tired of racing on the same racetrack every night, but my cup of tea is probably going to be, honestly, whether it has banking or whether it's flat, I don't really care. But I think a good shaped racetrack is probably like a 3/8, somewhere in the middle of a quarter and a half, and a little bit of banking doesn't hurt. I kind of like it when the bottom's a little flatter than the top, because if that bottom has more banking than the top, then that bottom is normally the place to be, and it doesn't really provide two lanes. So I just like a track that's got 2 lanes of racing at least, and a little mud line around the bottom, a little cushion on the top, and you can kind of throw some sliders and have fun.
All right, well, let's talk about actual racing now. Those race fans who are following, your World of Outlaw exploits know that unfortunately you're coming off a bit of what's been dubbed a heartbreaker down in Talladega. I mean, you were charging through the field. I think you started maybe just a little bit past mid-pack, and you were able to work your way up to the lead down at Talladega before you had a rear failure. I think it was a rear wheel. And so how do you as a driver rebound from a situation like that, just a night that didn't work the way you wanted it to, and you end up with a DNF like that?
Yeah, man, it's tough. You especially take that week there. We started on Tuesday, woke up early and headed to Eldora, and then we went from there to Brownstown, Indiana, went from there to Seymour, Tennessee, and then from there to Alabama. So it was like long drives every night, just a lot of stuff going on. So to get ourselves in that position by the end of the weekend when the big money was on the line and kind of had it in the bag, it's heartbreaking for sure. And this year I also have, like in the past, if I lose a big race like that, which I've had plenty of those instances where it's tough to swallow, but now I'm running for World of Outlaw points, so that would have been a big jump in the points for us too, and we lost that. So it sucks, and you just move on the best you can, I guess, and try to get them the next one. But I guess all in all, we know we were fast, and if we come back, if they have it again the next year, hopefully we're just as fast. But man, it's tough, and it's one of those that you never forget about, that's for sure. And it was a left rear wheel. It ended up breaking somehow.
Well, you did bring up the points in the World of Outlaws Case Construction Late Model Series. You're in the top 10, currently 7th, and it's early, right? What are we, 6 races in as you come into Mississippi Thunder Speedway. How do you look at a long season like this? When you are sitting top 10 early like this, is that a positive for you, or do you feel like the season might be long enough that you can kind of battle back?
We talked about a lot, and it's definitely a long year. There's a lot of races to go, and anything can happen. But when you're right there about to win a race and something like that happens, it's like, man, that would have been one right there. It's like, just got ripped away from us. We could have had it. And think back to the first 2 races of the year at Volusia for World of Outlaw points. I had basically 2 DNFs, and something just, once again, shouldn't have really happened. So if you take those out of the equation, and I was running 5th in one of them, and then the other one I had qualified 2nd, so was doing really good. You kind of take those into consideration and say, oh, if we didn't fall out that night, we'd be leading the thing. So it's tough pill to swallow for sure, but it's a long year, and that's for sure. It's a really long year. So if we're fast, we could possibly get back up there in no time.
Well, let's talk about this weekend's event at Mississippi Thunder Speedway specifically. It's a unique and a new style for the Dairyland Showdown. The Thursday and the Friday portion of the program, while you're still racing for money, they're kind of like qualifying nights. You'll have your actual qualifying, but then you'll have a qualifying feature to set you up for the big $50,000 to win. Let's call it the main event, right? The big show on Saturday. What are you thinking about this style of a 3-day special? Are you liking this style or not?
Yeah, I like it. I think that we qualify pretty good. So that's probably the biggest thing is getting that good qualifying lap, starting up front in your heat race, and you win your heat race. Just as long as you're kind of consistent those 2 nights, you're going to have a good starting spot for Saturday. And not only is it $50,000 to win, I've noticed that the payout's really good. I think it's $25,000 per second, and I think it's almost $3,000 to start or something like that. So it's pretty good money, even if you don't win, but. Obviously, to make it all worthwhile, you want that big win.
Well, you've already got 1 win at Mississippi Thunder Speedway with the World of Outlaws Case Construction late models. Who knows? Maybe Saturday night you'll be checking off number 2 and celebrating down there in Victory Lane. The smooth operator, Bobby Pierce, driver of the number 32. Thank you so much for joining us this week, and best of luck not only this weekend up here at Mississippi Thunder Speedway, but all season long. I hope things go the way you like it.
All right, thank you so much for having me, and we're really excited to get up there, see all the fans, and man, hopefully we can get another one. We're due for it. So excited to get up there. T-shirt trailer will be there. If any fans are there wanting to buy some merch from me, we got a lot of stuff and maybe some door panels for sale too. So come out and check it out.
The smooth operator, Bobby Pierce, driver of the number 32. He'll be on track all 3 nights at Mississippi Thunder Speedway. Hey, for those of you who are listening to the program on the radio, remember you can hear the entire interview with Bobby by going to YouTube and just searching for Thunder Talk with Dan Bailey. Not only can you find this interview, but my past 15 years of Thunder Talk episodes as well.
That was Thunder Talk, keeping you up to date on everything going on at Mississippi Thunder Speedway. Thunder Talk is powered by Arcadia Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram.
You ever notice that when you're on a fishing trip, you drive your boat all the way to the other side of the lake because you think that's where the best fishing is? And the people staying at the cabins on that side of the lake, well, they come and fish where your cabin is. You don't have to drive a long ways to catch the big fish. And at Arcadia Motors, you don't have to drive a long ways to get the best deal on a new Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, or Ram truck. The best deals are right in the bay next to your cabin. Take the short, scenic drive to Arcadia Motors, ArcadiaDodge.com.